Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett's Take. I hope you all had a good week. I've been enjoying some basketball recently with the NBA restart. I feel like it's going pretty well, and I feel like it's going to stay that way. Now, there definitely is some rust and fatigue and stuff like that. The fatigue part, I understand you gotta get in basketball shape. It's just like you should be well rested, ready to go. But it's like rust and stuff. I kind of understand that. So I expect things to get hopefully less sloppy as the restart goes on, but I feel like it's going pretty well so far. I mean, unfortunately not for my teams, but in general it's going good. Um, so instead of picking game predictions, like I promised last time, instead I'm just going to go ahead and do an update at the beginning of each week on where I think teams are going to be in the standings type of thing. So let's get started. So Milwaukee, um, they're they've had an okay restart. I mean, I expected them to start off 1-1, and that's what they did. They should have won against Houston, but unfortunately didn't. And so far as of right now, as we're speaking, they're struggling against Brooklyn, which is very concerning for me. Um, but we'll see how the rest of the games go. In all honesty, if they don't, if they slack off and Toronto keeps on winning like they do, then Toronto can easily catch up. So Milwaukee has to be very careful, but I feel like they will clinch the 1 seed and go and finish at 57-17. Toronto, I have at 2. I have them finishing with 52-20. Their remaining games are Orlando, Boston, Memphis, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and Denver. It's not easy, but I feel like because we've been playing so well and stuff, they already beat the Lakers, they already beat the Heat stuff. They're just on a roll so far, so I feel like that's going to show in the next 6 games remaining. Boston is third, 49-23. Their remainder ones is Miami, Brooklyn, Toronto, Orlando, Memphis, Washington. So besides that Toronto one, and I think they'll get up to there, and the Miami one today, like Boston has a pretty easy slate for us. Time the harder part was already at the beginning where they lost to Milwaukee and hanged on against Portland. Um, the one thing that'll be interesting is Boston's size. That'll be interesting. Maybe not for the next games, 6 games, but in the playoffs, that'll be kind of interesting to see what happens there. And then 4, I have Miami finishing in fourth with 46-27. The remaining ones are Boston, Milwaukee, Phoenix, Indiana, OKC, and Indiana again. So they have a pretty difficult stretch for the last 6 games, so it won't be easy for them. Um, and then 5th, I'm going to have Indiana and Philly both tied. But because the Indiana just won the one to start off the restart, they would get the tiebreaker. And so Indiana's at the 5th seed, which is unfortunate for Philly. But Indiana's at the 5th seed. Their remaining games are Orlando, Phoenix, Lakers, Miami, Houston, Miami. So the next 2 are easily winnable, but then the next 4, I feel like they'll split against Miami. So it's a matter of Lakers and Houston. What can happen there? I feel like but I've been impressed with them so far. If they don't win some of these games over the next 6, they'll at least be competitive. I like what I'm seeing for them, especially offensively. Philly is 6, 44-29 as well. So they have San Antonio. Well, they just beat San Antonio. They have Washington, Orlando, Portland, Phoenix, Toronto, and Houston. Now, Houston, I feel like they can get the upset and get the win. Just because, well, Philadelphia hasn't been great defensively in this restart. I know they can be good defensively. And Houston's not going to have any answers for Joel Embiid whatsoever, especially if you just post them up and stuff. And I feel like by that point, Houston's senior might already be determined by the very last game, so maybe they'll rest their starters and stuff. So, and Philly's going to be playing for more, I feel like. So I'm going to give them that win. And then out of that, they have a pretty favorable schedule to finish out. So we'll see. The big one would be them against Portland, Toronto. Especially Toronto? What can they do there? And then 7th seed. Now, imagine for the longest time, I had Brooklyn keeping their 7th seed spot, but now I'm gonna change it to Orlando because I like, even though Jonathan Isaac just got injured, unfortunately for him recently. I like what I've seen for them so far in this restart, and plus they're in Orlando, which I feel like has been helping them somewhat, even though there's no fans. So just being in their own city, I feel like has helped. So I had them finishing 34-39. So their remainder ones are Indiana, Toronto, Philly, Boston, Brooklyn, New Orleans. So pretty hard, but they already beat Brooklyn once. So if they can just beat the second to last game against Brooklyn, that's the key there. If they can win that one, then they can get the 7th seed. And then Brooklyn's last the AC 32-41. Although if they upset Milwaukee today, that might change. But they have Milwaukee right now. Then Boston, Sacramento, Clippers, Orlando, and Portland. So again, pretty hard. And then Washington don't have any winning games. It doesn't matter. They're out now, mathematically. Okay, so now you get the West. So the LA Lakers just clinched the number 1 seed last night. They have OKC, Houston, Indiana, Denver, Sacramento remaining. But I feel like they might lose another one, maybe two. But honestly, at this point, now they're going to start to play a lot more bench players and stuff. So it wouldn't surprise me to see some load management there. But even though they just had 4 months off, but we'll see what they do there. The LA Clippers have remained as the 2nd seed at 49 and 23. They have Phoenix, Dallas, Portland, Brooklyn, Denver, OKC. Because the Clippers are pretty much going to remain a 2nd seed at this point, I don't see them slipping down to 3rd. I'd be shocked that they did, but I don't see it. So with that being in mind, they can easily rest Kawhi sometimes, or rest Paul George, even though he's been playing well, or rest Lou Williams, or something like that. They can do so that way they might lose a game like a Dallas or a Portland or something. But again, they'll remain the 2nd seed. And the 3rd seed is Houston. Now, Houston, even though they've been very lucky saying it loosely, they've been very fortunate to be in the position they are right now, because I had them losing. I had them 0-2 in the restart, which means they were not gonna be like probably like a 5th seed or something. But now it's like the way they are. It's like they're gonna be a 3rd seed. Now they do have some hard games coming up. Portland, Lakers, Sacramento, San Antonio, Indiana, Philly. So I feel like Houston may be already determined by at the very end. So Philly could be and then maybe they'll lose against LA, but then all the other teams are not good defensively. I feel like Houston could just outscore them easily. So I have Houston being a 3rd seed at 47 and 25. And in 4th, I have Denver at 46-26. They have San Antonio, Portland, Utah, Lakers, Clippers, Toronto. So pretty hard schedule. So it's going to be a mix basically of wins and losses, especially if Jamal Murray continues to sit out. And then Utah, I have 5th with the same record, but Denver has the tiebreakers. That's what Denver's 4th seed. But this point, seed doesn't really matter if you're 4 and 5. But you have Memphis, San Antonio, Denver, Dallas, San Antonio. So Utah's been struggling recently. They did better than I thought they would against Lakers, and they'll have to face Denver at some point and Dallas. But it's like they get Memphis, which is winnable, and then San Antonio twice, which I know San Antonio's been kind of impressive. But I feel like they can win both of those, and they should win both of those. So I feel like Utah can win at least 3 more games here and get that 5th spot. Then the 6th spot will go to Oklahoma City at 45 and 27. They have Lakers, Memphis, Washington, Phoenix, Miami, Clippers. So Oklahoma City still has some easy ones in there, but like Lakers, Miami, Clippers, those ones are going to be hard for Oklahoma City to win. Even if Lakers and Clippers do play their bench players and stuff like that. So, and Oklahoma City, if they're able to get a win here, and have the same record as Denver, Utah, and then Oklahoma City gets the tiebreak over Utah. Because not only they just because they just won the restart game against them, and I think they've. I know Utah's 1-1. I'll have to double check on that, but I think Oklahoma City has a tiebreaker there. In that case, that Utah moved down to 6. At this point, you want to try to avoid the 6 because the way Houston's playing right now, you do not want to play Houston in the first round. You want to play Denver, or if Utah supports you, played Utah or something like that. You don't want to mess around with their 6th and 7th seed. And then 7th seed is Dallas. Now I thought they could have easily climbed up to the 5th seed, the best case scenario, but unfortunately they just still can't figure out how to win in the crunch time and stuff like that. And they've just been disappointment. Don't even get me started that Houston game. That ticked me off. But so Dallas remains 7th seed after them finishing 44-31. Right now they're losing Sacramento, so that's making me mad right now. Hopefully they pull out a win there. And then they have Clippers, Milwaukee, Utah, Portland, Phoenix. So pretty hard. So I feel like it would be kind of they'll win some, lose some type of thing. Unfortunately, I feel like Dallas is already settled for being a 7th seed, which means I don't feel like they'll be winning a lot of games in this restart into the playoffs. We'll see. And then you got the 8th seed. Now this is very interesting. So the way Portland's been playing, I'm going to have Portland overpass Memphis to become an 8th seed. So I have Portland finishing 34-40. So they have Houston, Denver, Clippers, Philadelphia, Dallas, Brooklyn. So except for that last game, they have a very hard schedule. But with their offense, anything's possible. I feel like they can get at least 2 upsets there, maybe 3. We'll see, to get above Memphis. And in New Orleans. So then the 9th seed will do the playing game. So now here's the interesting thing: who gets the 9th seed? So originally I had Memphis retain the 9th seed, but since the Pelicans just won last night, that's made me change my mind. So now the Pelicans are gonna get the 9th seed, assuming they play Zion like they did yesterday. Because if you're going to go back to playing Zion 14, 15 minutes a game, then I'm not going to pick them. But if you can get the minutes, then New Orleans, because they're a favorable schedule. They got Kings, Wizards, Spurs, Kings again, and Magic. I mean, it sets them up very nicely to get the 9th seed spot at 32 and 41. And then Memphis, I had tied record again. That's why I had New Orleans, because New Orleans won, I think, every single game, or at least 3 of the 4 games during the regular season. So that's why New Orleans is tiebreaker there. But so Memphis, they just have Utah, OKC, Toronto, Boston, Milwaukee. So it's just going to be very hard for them. Memphis' chance to be in the 9th seed was last night. And I guess taking care of business against San Antonio and Blazers, who were all around there, would have helped as well. But since they screwed the pooch there, they're going to, unfortunately, they missed out on their chance, which is honestly for the best, because I feel like Portland or New Orleans matches up better than Memphis does. But again, incredible season for Memphis there. Nothing to be ashamed of, maybe be back in the hunt next year. So in San Antonio, I was actually wrong about them. They're pretty impressive. They just lost. They're 2-1 with that one loss, super close to a good Philly team. So I have them finishing 30 and 41. They have Philadelphia, Denver, Utah, New Orleans, Houston, and Utah. So I feel like while they've won a few games, that's been impressive. Now they're going to start to not win any games anymore because they're harder to schedule. But again, I'm impressed with them so far. And then Sacramento, I don't have them winning any more games. Maybe Brooklyn, but at this point, I don't have them winning any more games. You have Dallas, New Orleans, Brooklyn, Houston, New Orleans, and Lakers. Sacramento, again, kind of like Memphis, their key was to beat the teams around their record, like at the very beginning of the start, and looks like they missed out on their chance for that. So, and the Phoenix, they were 2-0 in the start so far, but they were just had a tall task to begin with. So, they have Clippers, Indiana, Milwaukee, OKC, Philadelphia, Dallas. So again, another hard schedule. So again, I just don't see Phoenix climbing all the way back to being playoff contention there. So now I got my playoff scenarios. I'm going to hold off until my next show. So sorry, you're going to have to wait on that. But this is why I have finished the regular season. We'll see what it goes. And I'll make any last minute changes if I need to. So going into college football news, so the ACC now has a plan. So they will start the season on September 7th. They will play 10 conference games, which includes Notre Dame in the conference for this year only, and one non-conference game to make it 11. So I'm surprised it's that many games, not like 8 or 9 or 10 like we've been seeing a lot. 11 seems pretty high. So it'll be interesting to see if they can pull off a full 11. And then the reason why they have that one non-conference game is because they're rivals against SEC teams, but then the next day the SEC comes out saying, "Now we're just going to do conference only 10 games and start the season at the end of September." It's just like, we'll see if the ACC decides to keep it one non-conference. I think they will, especially since now the Big 12 has come out recently and said they're going to do 9 games, but then have that one non-conference game as well. And if I'm the ACC Big 12 here, I would try to collaborate a little bit and have like Clemson, for example, play a Big 12 team like a Texas Tech or something like that. The main reason being is because if you can have that type of game on the schedule, that means you're going to look very good in front of the college football playoff committee with the strength of schedule since you got the non-conference game. Now, both ACC and Big 12 says if you're going to have a non-conference game, they have to come to our building, so that's going to be a little bit tough to figure out. So I don't think it'll be against a Power 5 opponent, but maybe they can schedule a good G5 or something like that opponent. And speaking of G5s, so Sun Belt and Conference USA both say they're going to do their normal conference and have up to 4 non-conference games. So they can do full 12 if they want to, but in my mind, they're probably going to do 10. So now we'll have to see what Mountain West, MAC, and the American Conference does. Because they can go the route to schedule hard P5 on the road type of thing so they can look good for the college football playoff committee to get that New Year's Six bowl berth, especially if they end up upsetting the Power 5 team there. But we'll wait and see what comes out there, because I'll determine other team schedules like the P5's non-conference schedule or the independents and stuff like that. So that's it for this show today. I definitely have more to go over on another day. I'll probably do a second show this week instead of just one. Thank you very much. Please subscribe to my channel, tell everyone about me, leave me comments for what you'd like to talk about in the future, and y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you.